Back with more Buffy. This is episode 11 of season 6. Yeah, I'm very excited to get back into the season, so what's going to happen next. We're approaching the halfway point. After this episode, we'll be halfway through the season, which is kind of exciting. It's gone quite quick, and I'm becoming rapidly more and more aware. You know, the more I watch, the closer we're getting to the end. You know, it's definitely very much in sight at this point. You know, going on to, you know, the seasons that aired on UPN. It just feels like we're definitely in like the last little era of the show, and it's very strange. But yeah, we are back at it. I took a bit of time off, as you may have seen in my previous posts on my community tab, stuff like that. It wasn't because of the content of season 6. A lot of people thought that might have been what it was. It wasn't that. It was more so stuff in the comments and all that jazz, and me in my own head taking things in different ways, and some people just being assholes. Only a few, but I thought, you know what, I need to give myself a bit of a break. So I took about a week away from filming reactions, and it's the first time I've given myself a break without, you know, it's the first time I've given myself a break because I needed to, as opposed to because I had to, since I started my channel. So, I didn't realise how much I needed it, so nice kind of relaxing kind of thing. I think I'm going to be taking even further step away from the comments, for the time being at least, as I get back into the swing of things. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to be back at it and see what's going to happen next. So I know a lot of people saying, you know, the season gets very dark. That doesn't tend to bother me that much. I mean, I watched 100, that show gets fucking dark. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to see what's going to happen next with the season and get back into the show. And see all these characters again, see what's going to happen next, because the last episode had a very interesting kind of development happening with Willow, and her kind of causing that big accident with Dawn, which was great. I love that little story, and Dawn was fantastic in that last episode. I really enjoyed her a lot. And Willow's kind of said, you know, giving up magic, that's it. And we'll see how long that lasts. Can she go an hour? We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to, you know, go down with that, what's happening with the Buffy and Spike stuff, which is still very like, and we still have the nerds doing their little nerd shenanigans. So yeah, very intrigued as to how we're going to continue the season as we approach the halfway point. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Tarot cards. I do like tarot cards, I find them really interesting. But yeah, get rid of them.
Tara, she left them.
Oh.
I'll make sure she gets him.
At least she was honest about that. That's a big step. It would have been very easy for her to want that reminder of Tara, you know?
I love it. She's trying to stay away from, you know, could cause her to give in to temptation.
No. Uh-oh. Ooh.
Hey!
Oh. Jonathan explodes.
Penis. Dawn, you need to eat something. Thanks for your concern.
Ooh.
Okay, I deserve the wrath of Dawn. My best friend. I was too wrapped up in my own dumb life to even notice.
Aw, that's not your fault. Oh, and there's who she was all wrapped up in.
Only a complete loser would ever hook up with you. Well, unless she's a simpleton like Harmony, or a nutsack like yourself.
Hey! Maybe we can find some time for you to get me into another car accident.
Oh man.
Oh, good morning. You must be Dawn.
May I help you?
I'm Doris Kroger from Social Services.
Oh fuck.
I had an appointment.
Killer.
For Wednesday.
Buffy's a great mom. She takes good care of her little sis. Like,
Aw.
when Dawn was hanging out too much in my crib, Buffy put right stuff to her.
I'm sorry, did you say...
Crib. I said crib. It's magic weed. It's not mine.
I think I've seen enough.
Oh shit.
No, actually, it's been a bad time now for a while, hasn't it, Miss Summers? Your sister's grades have fallen sharply in the last year. I'll be monitoring you very closely, Miss Summers. And if I don't see that things...
Really? Because you've been here 2 fucking minutes and you're already fucking off.
Have a nice day.
I hope you get eaten by a vampire.
Just getting what I came for, love.
Well,
So long, Goldilocks.
I'm glad he came for that instead of on it. Or in it. Oh no! Oh no! That's the sign of stress right there. What a... Oh god.
Okay, this is it. Remember, we're professionals.
Fucking nerds. Oh dear.
Wait a sec, have you been feeling ignored lately?
Yeah, ignored. I wish. No, this is a Marcy deal.
Throw
I
back.
don't know what happened. I left Main Street after getting my hair cut and was...
You cut your hair? That sounds so adorable. I was thinking about getting my hair cut before the
Can we
wedding.
get back to freaking out about no show Buffy?
clear mad.
Buffy!
At least she's not too concerned.
Who'd be messing with that kind of pup?
Oh, but she didn't. Oh no. Oh no. And she's got the books and the computer. Don't you dare.
Buffy was in town, leaving the haircutting place, when she suddenly just...
She got her hair cut?
Well, come on, Will. Some of the spells...
It makes sense you'd think it,
stuff that
but...
happened to each of us at one time. Willow, where you going?
For a walk.
Oh heck. These people just need to talk to each other better.
So long, Kappa.
What are you doing? Invisibility doesn't mean you can nick stuff.
Hello, Mrs. Kroger.
Okay, this I kind of approve of.
Kill.
What?
I didn't say anything.
Oh,
I heard something.
she's making a right mug of her. Ha.
No.
That's what you get for only staying in the house for like 2 minutes.
Yahtzee.
Oh no. That actually changed stuff.
It made my coffee dance. It told me to...
To what?
Oh, Doris.
We'll, put someone else on them.
You put in the minimal effort anyway.
Summer's interview.
You just assumed everything.
Crazy.
What is it?
Paint that I scraped off the fire hydrant.
Yeah, what fire hydrant?
Oh.
That one? That something was the same something that shot out of that alley.
Willow, world's greatest detective. Oh no. Oh no. Is Invisibuffy gonna do Spike? Oh, see. Oh! Oh boy.
Hey, we're looking for invisibility spells here.
Well, obviously I haven't found anything yet.
I like Anya being
There's
like
nothing that would explain
preoccupied
why
with wedding
severe
stuff.
Buffy become invisible.
Priorities. Ooh.
Ew.
Whatever's happening to the pylon will probably happen to her. If we don't find Buffy, I mean,
Oh dear.
if we don't figure out how this was done.
She's pudding.
Ooh! And Spike and her play rough.
It's like a slam of a big ass.
That would kill the mood.
You get that ray working, and the first thing we're gonna do is find Buffy and Revisible her before it's too late.
Good. Oh, no.
What are you doing?
Buffy. Invisibuffy.
What does it look like I'm doing, you Nick? I'm exercising, huh?
Exercising. Nick, I'm looking for Buffy.
Haven't seen it.
Well, you would, in fact.
Yeah, he's not
She's
lying.
A slight case of invisibility.
Yeah. How did,
We don't know yet. Anyway, she's not at the house, and I really
Oh
want to
no.
I'll tell you what.
Here she is.
The only reason you're here is that you're not here.
Yep.
Of course, as usual, there's something wrong with Buffy. She came back all wrong. No, I didn't ask for this to happen to me.
Not too put off by it, though, are you?
No. Maybe because for the first time since I'm free. Free of this life.
Free of life. Got another name for that. Dead.
Yeah.
Why do you always have to? I thought we were having fun.
Yeah, now. But sooner or later...
What is happening?
Away. Get dressed if you can find your clothes and push off, because if I can't have all of you, I'd rather... Hey, that's cheating.
Oh. Well. A little bit longer. I mean, that is infuriating, but... Okay, good.
Not the most clever ad-lib, but come on, points for spontaneity.
I like how Dawn's kind of seen it as Buffy's not been there for her at times, and now she's literally not there.
How can I talk to you if I can't see you?
Dawn. Dawn.
Oh, heck.
Dissolve or fade into nothing.
Just picture the look of shock on her face. I am here for Willow, the private investigator. Spin off, spin off. Are they going to find out about the trio at long last? Uh-oh.
Hey!
Oh, they all went invisible.
Congratulations. You're our first hostage.
No! Nerds.
You don't have a lot of time.
Who is this? You sound familiar.
I'm nobody. No one you know.
There's just 3 of them, I think.
More than enough to cause some serious carnage, right, guys?
It must have been very weird to film when it's just you there.
Okay, now hold still, and all the troubles will soon be gone.
You're on the wrong setting.
What?
The gun, it's not set for reversing the particle ionization. It'll accelerate her molecular dissolution. I saw the plan.
Mind your own business.
More on you little shit.
That's what I'd like to know. Buffy's trying to kill you.
Oh, how dare you. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I know that voice.
Yes, you do.
You're...
Yes!
You have chest hair? Warren?
Exposed. Who are you?
Andrew? Tucker's brother.
It's Tucker's brother.
Oh.
So
I'm glad they finally know.
It's locked. We're supposed to check it. I forgot.
I give you my arch nemesis.
Oh dear.
I don't know how I got through this day.
One day at a time.
The thing is that you did. That's it. Not too long ago, I probably would have welcomed it.
Aww. She wants to live.
I'm not saying that I'm doing backflips about my life, but
Good first step.
I don't want to die.
Aww.
That's something, right?
Oh, I could cry. Man. Phew.
Yay for us. Yay.
Okay. That was a pretty solid episode overall. Wouldn't say it like set the world on fire with awesomeness, but I really liked. It felt very. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess streamlined. I think it knew what it wanted to do with the episode, and it kind of had to make some necessary steps forward, I guess, in like character arcs, particularly with Buffy and Willow, I think. And it could just have a bit of fun and silliness around that. I think that is clearly the tone they were going for, with a lot of like the jokes with the trio and stuff. While I haven't been like a big fan of a lot of those jokes in the past, they got tired very quickly for me. Some of them did work a lot better, I think, in the context of this episode, because this was like a silly episode, like a one-off kind of crazy episode. But yeah, I did enjoy a lot of what they did with it, and yeah, a very solid outing, I would say. Where to begin? We'll talk about, well, the idea of like absence and not being there. That's always been like a big part of Buffy's life, without like her dad around a lot of the time, and she's lost a lot of people, and she herself was absent a few times via death. And, you know, Dawn's kind of felt a bit unnoticed, I think, for a while. And, you know, there was that time when both Willow and Buffy didn't come home, so she didn't have anyone there for her. She kind of felt like Buffy hasn't been there for her as much because she's been distracted by other stuff, and she was passing it all off on Giles for a time. And then, you know, Buffy literally did become Invisibuffy and invisible. So I really, really liked how they kind of literally made that happen and literally made Buffy not be there for Dawn. That continues to be a problem for her. I did like the brief glimpses of that we got. I don't blame Dawn for being a bit pissed off that she was involved in the accident, because it wasn't really her fault that she got into that and she got injured and everything. I'd be pretty pissed off too. And she just wants a bit of attention. You know, she was so happy in the last episode where Willow was like, oh, we can go off and like watch a film or something, or go and watch a movie. And when that didn't come to pass, you know, she was really hurt by it, and then she got physically hurt as well. And I think that's kind of why she's been stealing things, to kind of like fill that void, like fill some kind of void, because she feels a bit of emptiness in her life, because she's not, you know, maybe one day someone will notice that she's been stealing things, so at least they'll have to pay her some attention. You know, if she doesn't do as well in school anymore, at least, you know, someone has to pay attention to that and do something about it and spend time with her and talk to her, which is kind of what she's craving, I think. So I like how they continue to explore that, even if it does make her seem a bit like the bratty younger sister, but that's because she is, and I don't blame her for that. So I did like how they're continuing that thread, and yeah, I don't think Buffy had the best attitude to that when she was invisible, dealing with Dawn, not just making jokes and stuff, and that's not what Dawn needed. But again, I think a lot of this season so far has been miscommunication between people. You know, Buffy couldn't tell people that she was in heaven. She couldn't bear to tell them, really. And people were assuming that she was in hell. Giles was kind of struggling to tell Buffy that he was going to go back to England permanently. Willow was keeping this magic addiction to herself and keeping things from Tara and doing spells and stuff like that. Not letting people know how bad this addiction of hers was getting. Even in this episode, like Xander and Anya, Anya's very much thinking about wedding stuff, and when they were doing research in the last episode, she had a wedding magazine on top of the book, and Xander's still very much focused on like their problem at hand, and they were kind of at odds there, which I thought was very interesting. So not properly communicating about that, and their song in Once More Feeling kind of communicated that as well. You know, they're holding a lot back and they're not telling each other things. And to an extent there's that with the trio as well. They're not quite on the same page about things. I feel like Warren is a lot more into the idea of like being evil and villainous, and he's a bit more of an arsehole about things compared to Jonathan and what's the other guy's name? Jonathan. It's annoying because he's my favourite one of the three as well. I've written it down somewhere. Where are you? Andrew, that's it. You know, those two compared to Warren aren't as like, oh, we need to kill Buffy, but Warren is very much, that was his intention in this episode. What an arsehole. And yeah, I did like about the trio the fact that Jonathan was kind of very much arguing, you know, we need to turn Buffy back visible again so she doesn't die. I like how they're approaching that, because they don't want, well, 2 out of 3 of them definitely don't want to kill her. I think Warren's getting a bit power mad, and a bit like, oh yeah, since we actually are making these inventions that work and everything, it's a bit, I think it's getting to his head somewhat, much like it got to Willow's head when she feels like she brought Buffy back, and I think that really escalated to a magic addiction. She's like, oh, I can do anything, which is not a good attitude to have. So yeah, I think this is one of the trio appearances of the nerds that I think I preferred. This is one of my favourite appearances from them. I still can't lie and say I'm in love with them. The idea of them as a villain. They had some silly moments, and I like episodes with this kind of tone. I think suit them. It's just the rest of this season's been very more serious, and you know. And then we've also had them being like, aren't we nerds? And like blah 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 blah. And I get that they're falling inside the cliches of them. Oh, you know, they're arguing about the weapon, and then it goes off, and all the havoc ensues from there. I get that's kind of a cliche, and I think they kind of bigged that up, and that's kind of what made the episode about that, because it was very kind of like a cliche thing to happen, for something to go wrong with them fighting over this gun, like, oh, give it back, but that doesn't excuse it still being a cliche, in my opinion. So that was a bit, okay, whatever, but you know, they had a bit of fun with it, so what can you do? And it's not like they do that in every single episode, so I can kind of forgive that. And I did like that everyone found out about the trio, or at least, you know, Buffy and Willow did, so they'll tell everyone else that this is going on, so they know, and I think that's going to be the moment now where maybe they can do a bit more interesting stuff with them, and they can have a lot more interaction with Buffy and Willow and all the other gang, which is kind of what I've been craving for, and I felt like that was what was missing from their side of things for quite a while. You know, Spike's very first episode, you know, he had a really cool fight with Buffy and stuff like that, and you know, I think the Angelus arc was always going to be exciting at the end of season 2, but imagine if Angela's never had any like scenes with Buffy or anything, for like most of season 2 and like until like the finale or whatever. You know, I don't think it would have had that personal impact that it did when he kind of did confront her in like innocence and stuff like that. That's kind of how I've been feeling, but I think the only way is up now for this kind of storyline with them. And they are starting to add some layers to it with Warren. I think he's going a bit further than the other two are willing to go. So that could cause some inner conflict between those three, which I think is going to be a lot more interesting than them just being, ha ha ha, we nerds. Because that got old after one episode. So yeah, I'm actually very intrigued to see where they're going to take that trio now, the nerds. Are they going to be at odds a bit more? Are people going to get cold feet maybe? Is Warren's kind of power hungriness maybe going to escalate even further? So interesting stuff with that, and the fact that, you know, they kind of got found out by the group in this one, so they are kind of public knowledge to them. I think that's going to make them infinitely more interesting than I've found them so far this season. So I did enjoy that, and I can kind of forgive some of the more like cliche moments of the escapades of this episode, because that's what the episode was going for in terms of tone, I think. And yeah, it doesn't happen that often, so I did enjoy their presence, and I look forward to seeing where they're going to go with that. Doris, no. The whole social services scene, oh man. Ugh, give Buffy a break. I don't like her. I mean, you know, Buffy, I think when she went invisible, she was very much, oh, I'm free, I can do stuff that I don't normally do, which is why she like stole that vehicle and stuff like that, and she played a bit of havoc because she couldn't do that. She felt like she didn't have to kind of cope with the responsibility and the backlash of her actions, because no one could see it was her doing those things, which is also why she went to Spike. She didn't have to feel ashamed about being with Spike, because no one could see her with him. That's kind of why she went there. So yeah, that was kind of an interesting aspect, and while it was wrong of her to do that, you know, she was kind of saying, you know, oh, it was an escape from my life, because things have been so heavy for her for so long. The fact that she did get to have a bit of fun, and then felt bad about it, which is the key thing, and she knows that she shouldn't have done it, and she's going to do a lot of groundwork to make up for that, hopefully. That shows growth with her, I think, and maturity and stuff like that. And that's kind of what Giles wanted for her, I think, when he left. So that's good. She's definitely making those steps. And what she said at the end there, she's realised that she does want to keep living, which is a huge step for her. And I love how she kind of got to that realisation, and how Willow kind of got to her progress as well. She went a day, and you know, there were some temptations with like making the book come over and speeding up the loading times, but she got through the day without really using spells. So that's a big first step for kind of both of them. And I like how Buffy and Willow's journeys about their like addictions have kind of been very much entwined in the past couple of episodes, and that's still continuing on through like their recovery. Although Buffy necessarily isn't recovering from Spike, because she still slept with him when she was invisible. But that's gonna clearly be an ongoing struggle for the both of them. You know, they're far from out of the woods. But I loved Buffy kind of saying she wanted to live. That was really, really nice. And yeah, Doris, I get what she saw wasn't great, and like seeing the drugs and everything, and Spike being Spike. I did like that Spike tried his best to be like, oh yeah, Buffy's a really good carer. That was quite wholesome. But all the chaos that came with that, and you know, she kind of looked around the living room and stuff like that. She didn't even be like, oh, I want to see if like Dawn's room's appropriate for her or anything. She didn't even fucking bother with that. She didn't even go upstairs. She was like, oh, I've seen enough. I get it's like a 45-minute episode, so we kind of need to cut things down, and maybe she should have stayed for longer. But, you know, I don't think she gave a shit, to be honest. She just wrote Buffy off straight away. Didn't even listen to any explanations or whatever. You know, clearly, didn't she see that all that magic stuff with, like, the weed-looking thing was in a box, so clearly they were getting rid of it? I guess not. But, yeah, she didn't even bother. She just stayed for 2 minutes and then was like, oh, no, this isn't suitable. No. Actually, take a look around and listen to Buffy's side of the story, you know, do your bloody job. Sitting at your desk all day. She deserved the coffee cup thing, she did. Maybe not the things printing out and, you know, being manipulated into making herself look crazy. That wasn't great. But still, it's just another kind of obstacle that Buffy has to face, and I'm intrigued as to where they're going to go with that. Are they going to take Dawn away? I don't think they will. But we'll see what happens with that, and I think it's going to take maybe Dawn realising truly what she could lose to maybe come around to her like her way of thinking as well. And they're starting to find out that Dawn's kind of stealing shit. I wonder when that's going to happen, because that started happening last season, so that's been a while. Slow burn with that one. So we'll see what happens with all that, but it's interesting to see these very real kind of things that Buffy's been threatened with there. And yeah, I loved Willow going on her journey to try and be a bit more recovered and stuff. I wish we'd seen Tara in this episode so we could see how she's doing. I know she's not like recovering from the addiction or anything, but you know, how is she recovering from being without Willow? And I still want to see like be her own person. So it's kind of a shame that she wasn't in this one. Maybe Amber just was in a contract, but she had an episode off or whatever. Not even sure she's main cast, but it still would have been cool to see her and see how she was doing. But maybe we'll get that in another episode. Maybe they'll have like another Tara focused episode soon where it's like, kind of like, I love like a Zeppo kind of episode, but for Tara and how she's kind of doing without Willow and maybe not as being with the Scoobies as often. I think that could be interesting. And yeah, so everything with Willow and her recovery, her going on like this hunt to track the trio down. I love that she was the one who kind of found out about them and tracked them down and everything, did all the classic season 1 and 2-ish Willow stuff with the classic investigation. I loved her being the detective. So cool. I like that we're seeing her make a bit of progress and feeling that regret and remorse about her actions. And Amy's nowhere to be seen, so that's good. She can stay away, quite frankly, because that was not helping her at all. And then, yeah, the whole Buffy story, I really liked how she kind of came to her realisation. She felt a bit of freedom when she was invisible, so it wasn't really worrying her until there was the threat of death. And it's nice that she was kind of scared of death again. That's really nice to see, that kind of slow progression. It's taken half a season to get to that point, so I think that was very well earned. And yeah, the stuff with her and Spike. I actually enjoyed, this is probably my favourite episode of like the Buffy and Spike relationship since Once More With Feeling. Because there was a bit more of a lightheartedness to it that kind of came with the episode being that kind of tone. And yeah, it's still not, you know, the greatest of relationships because Buffy's only going to sleep with Spike because she could be seen, but I did enjoy there's a bit more light-hearted kind of banter between them. I don't know if that's just because maybe it's a different writer writing the couple in this episode. That's often, you know, that's often the case when it comes to some couples, because, you know, writers just don't always prefer some couples, you know, like leave them in the background, you know. I mean, the last few episodes now, you know, Xander and Anya have just been sat doing research at that table, really. And I did love that we got some Xander and Willow scenes. I kind of missed those scenes of those two kind of, you know, intimately having like scenes together. So I did enjoy their little thing as well. And I understand why Xander might have thought Willow caused the spell to make Buffy invisible, but I'm glad he kind of saw that that wasn't the case and moved on from that as well. Shows a lot of maturity for him. But yeah, Xander and Anya have kind of just been relegated to the research people for the past few episodes now. So hopefully we get like a big episode for them very soon. I don't know if we'll even have like a wedding episode maybe. I feel like, I don't know where exactly they're going to go with the season or anything, but I don't know how long the trio could really hold the rest of the season depending on what they do with them. I could imagine like the finale of this season being Xander and Anya's wedding. I think that could be where they're headed, because, you know, they're making more and more hints of them like actually doing the planning and stuff, so it could only be like a few months away. I love Anya wanting to invite Hoffman as well. That's funny. But yeah, I liked the more light-heartedness to the Spike and Buffy relationship. That's kind of the side of it I like seeing. And I'm not going to be like oblivious to the fact that there's still, you know, a lot of that relationship is very much wrong and toxic. But it was nice to see more of like a light-heartedness, and it wasn't like Spike saying, you know, oh, you're invisible, and if you want to have sex something good, you can stay as long as you want. He actually like told her to leave and kicked her out and stuff because he wanted to see her and actually have all of her there. So that's something I can take from the toxicity. But yeah, I did enjoy the more light-hearted approach to their relationship in this episode. I thought that was done very, very well. And yeah, I think that's basically everything I had to say. But a really, really solid episode overall. Again, not one of my favourites, but I loved what they did with Buffy's story, and she's got short hair. That's going to take some getting used to. But yeah, that's the thing that happened. I did enjoy Willow and Anya kind of commenting on it as well. That was very funny. So yeah, I did enjoy what they did with Buffy and her kind of realising she still wants to live. Willow going a day without magic, and they're kind of linking stories. I really enjoyed that, and the progress those two made. And the Buffy and Spike stuff, it was nice to see a bit more of a light-hearted side to that relationship, even if it isn't ideal. And the trio, I think this is probably my favourite episode for them. Still not completely on board, but I think they're adding a bit more complexity and a bit more layers to them as villains now, so I'm kind of getting a bit more intrigued by that. Because, you know, the whole invisibility ray, it's kind of like the freeze way, it still doesn't quite fit in for me. It still feels a bit too much, considering everything the show's done. I don't know why that is, but it's just how it came across to me. But still, they kind of rolled with that idea and made like a really more fun episode out of it, so I can kind of forgive that. And yeah, seeing Buffy face more like real world problems and Dawn's still struggling and stuff like that, and nice that they're not like wrapping up everything in like a neat bow, because we still have half a season left. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to see what's going to happen next with this, and a very solid episode overall. And I think my next reaction will be to Angel. I think we have 2 episodes of Angel now, so we'll dive back into that. And yeah, halfway through the season, I'm looking forward to seeing where things are going to go. Very, very interesting. And yeah, until my next reaction, thanks for watching.